Hello everyone, today I'll be going over a new USACO problem. This one is a 2019 December contest for bronze, and it's the problem called cow gymnastics. So as you can see, I got all the test cases. So I'll go over this problem, shorten it. So basically, you're given two integers k and n, and basically you have k sessions of the gym. So you have one. So for example, k is 3, so you have 3 instances of this session. So each of these lines are a session, and they're basically consisting of n numbers, right? So there's 4 numbers in each, and 3 instances or sessions, which is 3. And you want to find out how many consistent pairs of cows there are. So for example, 4. Take 4 and 1, for example. This is a pair, right? So for each session, you want to find out if the index of the one of them is consistently less than or greater than. So for example, 4 and 1, this is in front of 1, so it means that it did better. So this is one example of consistent. Well, so this is one example, and then it's still bigger, and then the last one, it's bigger again. So that's one consistent pair. So let's say 1 and 2. So 1 here is greater than 2. 1 here is also greater than 2, but for the last one, 2 is greater than 1. So they're not consistent, because 1 was not greater than 2 for every one of them. Let's take in, for example, 2. So 2 is greater than 3, but this time 3 is greater than 2, so that's not consistent. Okay? And basically you want to find all of the consistent pairs and print them out. So basically, what we can do is find all the distinct numbers, right? So for example, this would be 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 4, 3. And once we find all the distinct numbers, we would iterate through all of the sessions and find the index of all the possible combinations or pairs. So we would find all the possible pairs, and with each pair, we want to determine if they are consistent. Okay? So we're just going to iterate through this with all the pairs. So let's go to our code. So for our code here, what I want to do is read in the input. So what we have is sys, and we also need combinations, which is a built-in Python library. So we can actually use this. And this is what we're going to use to build all the pairs. So sys standard input is going to be, we're going to open this gymnastics.in and as read. So we're basically just reading in our input. Standard stuff here. Alright, so now that we have our input in, we're going to put k and n. We're just going to map these to integers. Just read in our input again. And then we're going to have our variables. So we know we're going to need our rankings. So all of the, we're going to read in our sessions basically. And we're going to see, we need the count, we need the total count, and we need to check if the numbers are greater. So we're going to have a boolean that value like this. So we need to check if they're greater or less than. So it's going to make more sense when I explain it more often. So for I in range of k, we're just adding our input to our rankings list. Rankings.append, we're just going to append our input to it. So we're going to have all these sessions. So now that we have this, what we're going to do now is get all of our numbers. So all of our distinct numbers are going to be, we're going to set and then rankings of 0. Okay, so now that we have our distinct numbers, we're going to find out all of our combinations. So combinations is equal to list, and we just call this function. We're going to pass in our numbers, and they're going to be in pairs. So let's just print this out and see what we get. So we should get So we should get all the possible pairs. And let's just check right here. So as you can see, we do get all of our pairs. Okay? And basically, what we're going to do now is iterate through all of our pairs. So for I in comb, we're going to get all of our pairs, and we're just going to set greater is equal to false after every iteration. Count is going to be equal to 0 because we have to reset it every time we iterate, and we're going to iterate through the rankings now. So for j in rankings, now what we're going to do is we're going to check if the for everything in the iteration, for every pair, we're going to check if it's greater than in each ranking. Okay, so for if the index of the pair of one of them is greater than the other, so do this. So if it's greater than, and also we're gonna have, so if it's greater, then we just add 1. Count plus equals 1. But we have to set this greater value to true because this is already false. So if it's the first time and it's greater, then of course it's going to be greater. So if the count is the first time, we're just going to set greater to true, and we're going to add a count. Okay, so now that we have greater to true, if all of them are greater, then this should be the how many rankings there are. And if it's not, then it's not a consistent pair. So we have another if statement here, else statement. So outside of this, we're going to have an else statement. So if it's less than, and if greater, so if it's less than equal to false, then what we're going to do is we're going to add another count. And so if the count is 0, we're basically going to do the same thing as we did in the greater one. So if the count is equal to 0, then greater is equal to false, and we're going to add a count. So after we're done judging, so if the total count is equal to the length of rankings, then the total count, which is the count of consistent pairs, the total count is going to be added. Okay, so now that we should have our total count here, since each time we're going to determine if they're consistent or not. So all we need to do is just print the total count, and we're going to run our program here. So let's just run it, and we should get 4. Okay, so now we get our data. That's good. So we solved the problem. If you have any questions, make sure to leave it in a comment, or you can DM me on Discord. And thank you for watching.